I think no one is more aware of how fraught the life that he's entered into is than Justin. He knows, he sees the examples that have come before him, and there are way more sad stories than happy ones with child stars or child celebrities. He's aware of that. I think he's increasingly aware of what he's sacrificed. He'll never be a private person again, and therefore will never be, normal again. And so that comes up for him, and as it should. That's normal. I think he's been parented exceptionally well. I think that his mother, Patty Millett, has raised him very well, and continues to walk with him. She's not letting go just because he's almost 18 and a multimillionaire and a superstar. I mean, she's even prayerfully closer to him now than probably ever, I would imagine, trying to give him his freedom as a young man, but just it's dangerous where he is. He was raised by his mother largely. His father's always been in his life, but she had custodial rights, and she came up in the church, right? She had a big conversion experience herself not long before she conceived Justin. And when she found out she was pregnant, she came into the church in a big way and has been there ever since. So he was raised in a congregation that I would call non-denominational, charismatic, Pentecostal-y-ish, evangelical certainly. His mother will tell you that he made some sort of public declaration of faith or made a commitment when he was 5 or 6 years old. He was very precocious about everything, including his spiritual life, apparently, and she wanted to make sure that this was something that he understood. And so she didn't push it, and he kept coming back to it. And then apparently a few years after that, when he was about 8 or 9, he asked to be baptized. And his mother again went through making sure he understood that his faith had to be his own. Couldn't be mommy's, couldn't be because of what mom believed, because he had his own journey. And he was baptized and has been a believer, since he was 5 or 6 years old, so most of his life. The way that Justin articulates his faith is not, it goes off the script. It doesn't follow all the rules. He doesn't give easy answers all the time. He gives these nuanced answers that make some Christians uncomfortable. And he's frankly not doing some of the things that are in the playbook for evangelicals in the spotlight. And there are some Christians who just think he's doing it wrong, and he should be doing this and this and this, but he seems to be continuing to be authentic to who he is, which is part of his vast appeal. One of the things that he comes back to most often, he talks about paying it forward, giving back, change the world. He talks about gratitude. He talks about being blessed. He often asks people to pray for things, usually when there's some sort of a cataclysm, or, for instance, when his friend Sean Kingston, the Jamaican-American singer, when he had a horrible ski-doo accident in Miami and almost died, he asked for prayer and then continued to talk about prayer. And then when he had made this sort of miraculous recovery, Justin was back on Twitter again, giving thanks to God. And he seems to be particularly aware of his role in the world and how remarkable his story is. I think it didn't just sort of happen to him. He's been walking it and looking back at all these different touchstones. I mean, it's only been 2 years, really, that he's been a super phenomenon, and it's only been about 3.5 that he's been in the business. And he always stops and says, I'm just so grateful to God. I'm grateful to my family. I'm grateful to the fans. It seems to bubble up out of him in a very natural way, this idea that he's incredibly blessed and he believes these blessings come from God and that God keeps him grounded. I have great hope for him. It reminds me of that verse that's in the Bible that says, if you raise a child in the way in which he should go, when he's old, he won't be lost. And I really don't think Justin will be lost. He might make mistakes. Well, he will make mistakes because he's human. He might make bad choices. He might have a tumble. But I don't think he's going to stay on the ground. I don't think we're going to see the Justin Bieber story end in tragedy. I think he's has this sort of propheticness about him, which I know there's a giant eye roll when people say that, but I really do think he's speaking into an entire generation of kids, not only in this country, but around the world. And his message is basically one of positivity, love, and gratitude. And there are worse things than that. One of the things I absolutely did not want to do in the book is to set Justin up as some sort of Christian superhero. He's already on a pedestal. It's like a sport to knock celebrities off, and then we cheer when they crawl back up. I didn't want to do that to him in a spiritual way. And he's not asking or presenting himself as some sort of a Christian role model or a religious or a spiritual role model. He's very honest about his faith. He's very open about his faith, and that seems to be genuine. But he's going to make mistakes, and he's going to make bad choices, and he's going to have doubts and fears like every other person. His journey, his spiritual journey, is going to be his own, and I wanted to make sure that the readers came away with this sort of faceted, you can be a believer and a genuine believer and still screw up, but there's grace, and you get to pick yourself up and try again. And I imagine that's what we'll see him do throughout his life.